Have you ever really thought about mannequins? I mean, truly thought about them? They're just these hollow, faceless shapes imitating humans. Ever wonder if they watch you when you're not looking? Yeah, I get it. It sounds insane. Paranoid, even. But after what happened at that Target store, I can't see those blank stares the same way again. I was desperate, bills piling up, rent overdue, groceries becoming rare luxuries. The ad was simple. Night cleaner needed. No experience, $18 an hour. Apply now. Not glamorous, but I wasn't in a position to be picky. Minneapolis winters don't care if you're broke. The store was massive. That bright red Target logo glared against a gray evening sky. And the parking lot? Way too empty for a 24/7 store. It was quiet. Too quiet. Too quiet. I brushed it off. Just nerves. New job jitters, right? Totally normal. The manager, Greg, greeted me with this clipped, no-nonsense tone. Wiry guy, mid-40s, permanent scowl like life disappointed him. Uniform spotless, but those eyes, sunken, shadowed, like he hadn't slept in ages. He'll clean after closing. 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Easy job, he said, shoving a mop at me. Before I could answer, he added, just follow the rules. Rules? I asked, puzzled. He handed me a laminated paper, edges worn thin from use. The rules were strange. 1. Mop only in straight lines, no swirls or circles. 2. If the mannequin in aisle 6 is facing west, don't touch it. Leave it alone. 3. Check the mirrors in the fitting rooms every hour. If anything's off, call me. 4. Never stir the mop water after midnight. 5. If you hear whistling, stop and leave the aisle right away. Greg didn't explain. I asked about the mannequin, about the whistling. He waved it off, said, "You'll be fine. Just do your job. Don't ask questions." His tone sent chills down my spine. Still, I told myself it was just nerves, just cleaning. How bad could it be? The store was a maze. Fluorescent lights, endless aisles. Endless aisles. Once Greg left, the place felt huge, empty. The silence was unnerving, just the hum of lights and the heating system's occasional groan. It was me, a mop, a bucket, and the weird rules tucked in my apron. I started in the back, working forward like instructed. Mopped in straight lines. It's a straight lines. Weirdly specific, but fine. The repetitive swish of the mop lulled me into a daze. Then I remembered the rules. Midnight was 15 minutes away. Rule 4 echoed in my head. Never stir the mop water after midnight. I glanced at the bucket. The water shimmered under the lights, oily and still. Looked normal, except for tiny bubbles at the edge. I moved to the next aisle, pushing the thought away. That's when I saw it. The mannequin. It stood in aisle 6, just like the rule said. White plastic skin, blank face, red polo and khakis, classic Target look. At first it seemed fine. Then I remembered the rule. If it's facing west, leave it. I didn't know which way was west, but the tilt of its head was unsettling. I stepped closer, squinting. It hadn't moved, but as I circled it, I could swear the angle changed slightly. I froze. You're imagining things, Rachel. I whispered. My voice echoed too loud in the silence. I backed off and skipped aisle 6. Whatever was up with that mannequin, I didn't want to know. Next stop, fitting rooms. Rule 3, check the mirrors every hour. They were dimly lit, the lights flickering as I approached. A chill crept over me. The mirrors stretched across the walls, reflections bouncing endlessly. All seemed fine. Until I noticed something in the corner of one mirror. A smudge? Edo. I leaned in, gone. Great, I muttered. My heart pounded, but I checked the rest. Nothing. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Then came the whistle, slow, deliberate, from deep within the fitting rooms. I didn't wait to investigate. My body moved before I could think, out in seconds. The whistling stopped, but the unease clung to me. I looked back. Still, silent. Too still. I took a breath, returned to the mop, clutched the handle like a lifeline. Just nerves, I told myself. First night jitters. I focused on the mop, that steady swish, calming. Then came the whispers. Barely there at first, like static, a low hum. I froze, mop in hand, turning slowly. Hello, I called. No answer. Went back to work. The whispers returned louder. Not static voices, layered, urgent, garbled words from unseen mouths. Greg, this isn't funny, I muttered. But Greg had left hours ago. The whispers followed me. No direction, just everywhere, heavy, suffocating. My stomach churned. I gritted my teeth, trying to stay calm. 12:45, 15 minutes to mirror check. I forced myself to mop. Straight lines. Stay focused. The whispers faded if I focused, but let my mind drift. They came roaring back. Then the mannequin moved. I was in aisle 7 when I heard it, a soft scrape. Turned fast, heart thudding. The mannequin from aisle 6 now stood at the aisle's end, head tilted facing me. No, I whispered. No way. I backed away, clutching the mop like a weapon. It didn't move, but I felt it watching. Its blank face radiated malice. I retreated to the fitting rooms, felt safer with mirrors, but the whispers grew louder, furious, urgent. A warning, maybe. I yanked out the rules, hands shaking. Rule 3. If the mannequin moves, you already messed up. Retrace your steps. Don't look back. I swallowed hard. What did that mean? Why not look back? Lights flickered. Darkness flashed. No time. I obeyed the rule. Turned, walking backwards. Slow. Measured. The whispers quieted with each step. I didn't dare glance behind. Reached the mop bucket. The whisper stopped. Silence returned. Crushing. I exhaled. Hands trembling. Checked the watch. 12:59. 1 minute to mirror check. 1 minute to mirror check. One the rules said. I clutched the mop tighter, knuckles pale. Returned to the fitting rooms. Sweat trickled down my back in the cold air. The mirrors shimmered under harsh lights. Reflections almost. Alive. You've got this, Rachel, I whispered. Just a mirror. Stupid regular mirror. Rules were clear. Every hour check your reflection. If anything's different, leave. But don't run. I hated that. What did it different to mean? What was I looking for? And why couldn't I run? Heart hammering, I stepped in front of the first mirror. Just me. Messy ponytail, tired eyes, red Target shirt uniform. I let out a shaky breath, laughing nervously at my own paranoia. See? Nothing. And then I saw it. My reflection blinked. But I hadn't. My body froze, breath caught in my throat. The image in the mirror now stood motionless, perfectly mimicking my posture. But I knew what I'd seen. I hadn't blinked. It had. Panic built as I fought the primal instinct to run. The rules, those cursed rules. I couldn't run. Not slowly, I backed away from the mirror, eyes fixed on my reflection. It stared right back, unblinking, expression disturbingly blank. I stumbled into the next fitting room, hands trembling as I approached the second mirror. This time, it wasn't my face that was off. It was my shadow. It was my shadow. The overhead lights cast my shadow clearly on the wall behind me. But in the mirror, it moved on its own. A twitch here. A shift there. So subtle, I almost convinced myself I imagined it. Almost. I gripped the mop handle like a lifeline, eyes burning with tears. The whispers had returned, soft but persistent, growing louder with every passing second. The fitting room stretched endlessly, mirrors distorting and multiplying around me. Okay. Hey, I whispered, voice shaking. The rules. Don't panic. I forced myself to check the third mirror, the last one. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't still. It raised a hand, slowly waving at me, while mine stayed rigid at my sides. I swallowed the scream rising in my throat and turned, walking quickly toward the exit. Each step felt heavier than the last, the air thick like something pressing down on me. That waving reflection burned into my memory, a grotesque mockery of my movements. By the time I reached the exit, the whispers had stopped, leaving a suffocating silence. I leaned against the wall, breath ragged, and glanced at my watch. 1:05 a.m. I'd made it through the first check, but the night was far from over. The store felt heavier now, as if the air itself had thickened. The buzzing of the fluorescent lights above was the only sound as I pulled the mop bucket toward the supply aisle. My hands shook with every step, my mind haunted by the reflection's wave. I had to keep moving. Standing still felt wrong, like if I lingered too long, something would find me. The rules hadn't mentioned mannequins, but as I entered the main aisle that led to the employee break room, they caught my eye. A group of mannequins, normally arranged near the seasonal aisle, now stood in a loose semicircle, like they'd been moved. I froze, clutching the mop tighter. Their blank, featureless faces tilted ever so slightly toward me, casting odd shadows in the harsh light. "A no big deal," I muttered, trying to sound braver than I felt. Probably just a weird display setup. They didn't move, of course, but the stillness felt intentional. I stepped forward cautiously, eyes on the nearest one. A headless female mannequin wearing a tacky holiday sweater. My pulse spiked when I noticed it held something. A crumpled piece of paper extended toward me. Curiosity and dread fought inside me as I approached. The paper fluttered slightly from a breeze I couldn't feel. I reached out and took it. The moment the note left its hand, I heard a faint scraping, like plastic dragging across tile. I looked up fast. The mannequins hadn't moved. Or had they? The semicircle seemed tighter now, figures drawn closer, like they were sharing secrets. I unfolded the paper. The message was written in smeared red ink. They see you. Don't go near the loading dock. My stomach twisted. The writing looked frantic, desperate. The ink smelled faintly metallic, like blood. I shoved the paper into my pocket and backed away, heart racing. They remained still, but their presence filled the aisle. I didn't trust them. The rules never mentioned mannequins, but they were watching, waiting for a mistake. The loading dock? That was next on my cleaning list. I checked the time. 2:15 a.m. I had to sweep the stockroom by 2:30. But it was too close to the dock. I hesitated, mind spinning. I could skip it, pretend I never saw the warning. But what if ignoring the rules was worse? What if breaking them drew it closer? I took a deep breath, mop clenched like a weapon. Just follow the rules, I whispered. Stick to them and you'll be fine. But I wasn't so sure anymore. The stockroom door groaned as I opened it. The air inside bit into my skin. Cold, sharp, unnatural. Despite the heat rising from the mop bucket, the overhead lights flickered. Shadows dancing over towering shelves. I paused at the threshold, clutching the mop like it might save me. The note echoed in my head. Don't go near the loading dock. I could see it from here. A yawning space stacked with pallets and a wide roll-up door leading into the night. It was silent. Too silent. Even the buzz of the freezers was gone. As I stepped in, the door shut behind me, clicking loudly. I spun around. It was locked. The knob wouldn't move, no matter how hard I pulled. Okay. Stay calm, I breathed. You've done this before. I turned away from the door, forcing myself to focus. Sweep the stockroom by 2:30. That's what the rules said. I checked my watch. 2:17. 13 minutes. Plenty of time if I didn't waste it panicking. I began sweeping, hyper-aware of how enormous the room felt. Each step echoed like a heartbeat. Shadows danced at the edges of my vision, but when I looked, nothing was there. Then I heard it. Whispers. At first, I thought it was wind, a draft, but no, these were voices, dozens of them murmuring low and fast like a crowd just out of view. I froze, tightened my grip on the mop. The whispers grew louder, melding into a single word. Leave. My heart pounded. I scanned the shelves. Shadows shifted, grew longer. The roll-up door, it was open. I knew it had been closed. Now, it yawned into blackness, a void. Nausea twisted inside me. Still, I took a step forward, and then another. The rules didn't mention an open dock, but the note did. Don't go near it. The whispers swelled, pulling me toward it, a siren's call. I stopped a few feet away, and then I saw them. Two glowing eyes in the dark. They blinked. I stumbled back, breath caught in my throat. The whispers turned to laughter. Low and guttural, reverberating around me, I turned and bolted. Dropped the mop. Didn't care. The door was still locked, but I slammed into it. It burst open. I fell into the hallway, gasping. The laughter echoed behind me as the door slammed shut. I leaned against the wall, shaking. My watch read 2:29 a.m. I had finished the task, technically. But I knew it wasn't over. The hallway was silent now. Too silent. I clutched the mop bucket. The oily water inside sloshed like a tide. The lights overhead dimmed, casting strange swaying shadows. I checked the wall clock. 2:34 a.m. I was late. The rules said 2:30 sharp. My chest tightened. I had done it, but not on time. I tried to reason with myself. A few minutes couldn't matter. The rules weren't real, were they? But the whispers, the eyes, they had been real. I moved, dragging the bucket toward the break room, each step heavier than the last. Then I stopped. The mop bucket began to shake violently. The oily water bubbled, boiled, like something alive inside it. The sloshing grew loud, deafening, then silence. The water stilled unnaturally. I looked down. My reflection stared back, but it wasn't just me. Something was behind me. A shadowed figure with glowing, hollow eyes. I spun around. No one there. Then a creak echoed down the hall. My breath caught. I turned toward the sound. Mannequins, the store's promo mannequins, which had stood rigid and lifeless at the front earlier that night, were now here lining the hallway. Their blank plastic faces appeared to track me. Hollow eyes locked on my every move. No, this isn't real, I whispered, stepping back. My heel hit the mop bucket, toppling it. Water spilled out like ink across the tiles, followed by a sound. A faint, echoing voice. Rachel, I froze. It was unmistakable. My voice. The mannequins began to twitch. Heads jerked toward me in eerie unison. Their arms creaked as they lifted, reaching, beckoning. I stumbled, trembling with dread. Then I did it. I broke the final rule. Do not run. But instinct screamed go, and I obeyed. I bolted down the hallway, footsteps cracking like gunfire. Behind me, the mannequins chased, plastic limbs clattering across the floor. The exit neared. The glass doors shimmered, so close. But they didn't open. They were locked. My own terrified reflection stared back at me. "Oh, please, let me out," I screamed, pounding the glass. Behind me, they stopped. Mannequins, eyes hollow, their shadows loomed, swallowing the light. Then came the voice again. Louder. Rachel. I turned slowly, tears streaking down my cheeks. They weren't mannequins anymore. They were people, old employees, faces frozen in eternal fear. And among them, I saw me. My face, plastic. Lifeless. It hit me. Hard. I wasn't escaping. I was already one of them. Time passed. Weeks? Months? Hard to say. Time didn't behave the same in here. The store was always lit by that sterile, flickering glow, the kind that erased color but never shadows. And I felt them, always. Watching. Waiting. I wasn't Rachel anymore. Not really. Just a piece of the store. Another piece in its growing collection. My body didn't move the way it used to. Every motion stiff, unnatural, like a puppet on strings. No blinking, no tears, no screams, just stillness. A flawless copy of the girl I'd been. They placed me near the front, a mannequin among mannequins. Still in my uniform, the same one I'd loathed since day one. Name tag crooked. Customers walk by, barely glancing. To them, I was decor. Just another display. But I wasn't alone. The others, they were like me, former employees, now cursed fixtures. Their silent agony vibrated in the air, a chorus of despair no one else could hear. We were guardians now, punished for breaking the rules. At night, when the store emptied, the whispers returned. They floated through the aisles, familiar voices telling stories of the lives we lost. Families we'd never see again. Sometimes I even heard my own voice, calling out for help that would never come. But the worst part wasn't the silence, or the eyes. It was when I saw my reflection, in a polished display, or the floor. My face, distorted, hollow, not mine. My eyes, ancient, filled with something older than this store, something waiting. I had become the very thing I once feared, a warning. A silent message to those who might ignore the rules. All I could do was hope. Hope that someone, someday, would see the fear etched in my plastic face and listen. The final rule echoed in my mind, etched into my being. The store keeps what it claims.